Hey parents, are your sons and daughters winning or are they losing? Because the reality is there are winners and there are losers. This is a kid's soccer ball, and it took me back to when our 18-year-old son was 5 and he was playing in a kid's soccer league. He had just finished his shift, and so he came back and he was sitting on the sidelines with his buddies, and they were talking among themselves and trying to figure something out. And I leaned over and I said, "Hey guys, what's the score?" And some of the other parents decided they needed to correct me at that point. And they said, "Oh, we don't keep score. The score doesn't matter. It's not about winning or losing." And I looked over at the kids again, and I looked over at the parents. I said, "You might want to tell them that," because the kids were trying to figure out who had scored, who hadn't scored, who in the other team had scored. They wanted to know who was winning and who was losing. The score mattered, and it still does. But the problem is today that same generation, as they're adults and young adults and entering the workforce, they're losing. That generation overall is failing. There's exceptions, but they're pretty few and far between. 40% of all employers right now don't want to hire Gen Z. 60% of all employers say they have fired a Gen Z in the last 30 days because of performance issues. 70% of Gen Z don't believe they will achieve financial stability. They're failing. And the reason is something I call the gap. It's the difference between what Gen Z should be and need to be bringing into the workforce as far as tools and skills and attitudes and what they're actually bringing in. There's a gap, and that gap is what's causing them to fail. And that's why I wrote the book. Well, books actually fill the gap, how Gen Z can enter the workforce with competence and with confidence. That one's written specifically for Gen Z. And then there's one written specifically for parents. It's called Fill the Gap, Parent Edition. Now the one for Gen Z, what it does is it puts the tools, the skills, and the principles into their hands that will help them win, that will help them succeed as they enter the workforce. It will help them become the exception. What the one for parents does, the Parents Edition, is it gives parents of younger teens and preteens the strategies and the tools they need to prepare the younger children that they have so that when they hit the workforce, they're prepared. That they don't struggle in the same way that Gen Z is struggling right now. Fill the Gap is how you can put the tools, the skills, and the principles into the hands of your sons and daughters and give them the opportunity to win. Hey, before you go, don't forget to click on the link above or below to buy your copies of Fill the Gap. www.youfillthegap.com. That's www.youfillthegap.com.